just hanging out in the parking lot of Ottawa Hospital. Hear way too much. Not me this time. Milo is a lot like me, and he busted his scaphoid snowboarding. so so he's in getting fixed up. He's getting another cast put on, and Milo is in college right now, and this it's he's almost done his first year, and he's talking about what he wants to do this summer, and it reminded me of when I was his age because he mentioned something that he wanted to do. So I started telling the story, and well, I figured I'd share it with everybody because it was a very interesting time in my life. So uh, I was the time of this story. I was 19 or 20, probably 20 years. I was 20 years old. Yeah, 20 years old. Yeah. Um, and I I had already been out west working in the oil field before. I left once right after high school, and then I ended up coming back home, ended up joining the reserves, and I had put in for transfer to the regular force. So I was military reserve component, and I was transferring to the regular force. Anyways, this can take a long time sometimes, and I was kind of in limbo. And I was a 20-year-old kid who at that time I was crashing. I was back at home just waiting. And I remember I was just losing my mind because all I wanted to do was fight, whether it was by joining the army or or become a professional fighter. Because at that time I was I really liked martial arts. Probably the first things that I really got involved heavily with was was judo, basketball. I'd already gotten into professional arm wrestling before this point, but if you had asked me at that time in my life, I still had big dreams of going to the Olympics for judo, and a lot of me wanted to just be a professional fighter. So I was like waiting. I was waiting for the military to call because reserves is really, it's like, 1 day a week and a weekend here or there. You might get on a course, but you're not doing anything full time. So I came up with and this is where the part with Milo kicks in because Milo, one of his plans, and I don't think he's actually going to do it. I think he's going to do something else, but whatever he does is cool. But he was thinking about hitchhiking to Mexico this summer. And I'm like, I did a little bit of hitchhiking when I was younger. So I'm like 20 years old at my parents' house, waiting for that call. And I'm like, I'm going to go to Thailand or somewhere in the Far East. I'm going to find a temple and I'm going to throw myself at the doorstep, and I am going to become a monk or like a professional. I just want to learn to fight as good as I can. Uh, and that was my plan. I had like 250 bucks Canadian, and I had a backpack, like all my army gear. I had a whole bunch of rations, so probably about, I don't know, 5 or 6 days of food. And I'm like, I'm gonna hitchhike and I'm gonna travel all the way. I'm gonna I'm gonna get lifts all the way to Vancouver. So this is coming from I was living just outside of Picton, Ontario at this time. So like north of Belleville. For all you international people, it's like Toronto. So I was gonna go from Toronto right across Canada to Vancouver. And then from Vancouver, the plan was I was gonna get in a boat. Get on a boat, offer to wash dishes, offer to do whatever I could on the boat to get me across. And then once I was there, I would find some kind of a martial arts place that I could become a fighter at. So I started walking. And the thing that I'll tell you that I found as a 20-year-old kid walking across Canada, I found that people were so nice. And I've been lucky a lot in my life, but people were so consistently nice and so consistently good to me. People gave me food, people offered me shelter. Uh, I think they recognized I didn't have a lot, and they opened their doors to me. They opened their wallets to me, and I didn't ask. People gave, and I don't know that this is necessarily a Canadian thing. I think that people are, for the most part, good. I mean, there obviously are, you know, evil people all over the world as well, but I think that most people are there to help people on their way. I made it. Had a stop in Banff. A lot of my friends from when I grew up, a lot of guys went to Banff just to kind of work the ski hills and party. Stopped there for a couple days, then continued on. Made it all the way to Vancouver, sleeping under bridges, walking sometimes 20 or 30 kilometers a day with my gear. Uh, I didn't spend hardly any money. By the time I got to Vancouver, I was probably at 150 bucks left. Every day I went down to the harbor and I looked for work, looked for a way. Nothing, 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 nothing. I was living it up, so I was staying in a hostel, wasn't on the street. Wasn't expensive, but between a little bit of food here and there, my resources were dwindling. My money went down to, geez, I don't know what I was at. I think I was at probably like 60 bucks. And I was trying to get work too. I remember I was asking people on the street, like construction guys, you got work? And it was like, yeah, we'll hire you for like $7 an hour, minimum wage kind of stuff. A lot of us were in the same place in the hostel, just looking for work, trying to get by, trying to find something. Just trying to get on that boat, man. Didn't happen. Didn't happen. I was and at $60, I was looking and I was like, this is gonna get worse. And it was right about there, and I just made the call. I'm like, abort. Abort criteria has been met. So I decided that I needed to get a job that would pay me again, and I knew that the oil field paid well. I'd been there before, and I'd worked there before. So I packed up my bag and I hitchhiked back across BC, up past Edmonton to Nisku to the park. By the time I got there, it was it was the Thursday before May long weekend. Everything was closing down. I got there at like 3 o'clock, and everything was closing down. I managed to hit a couple businesses. I'm like looking for work, and everybody's like, come back on Tuesday, come back on Tuesday. At this point, I had like $7 in my pocket. I was like done. I had a few rations left in my backpack, but I was at like $7, not much left. And with not a lot of options, I decided that the best thing to do at that point was just I'd go to bed. I'd crash for a bit because I was tired. I'd been walking a lot. So I got in my sleeping bag, and there was a park bench, and this is on some business's property that was kind of closed down for the weekend. And yeah, and I went to bed there. Shortly after that, a van pulled up, and dude jumped out. He was with his family, and he was there. He was looking at fireplaces, and there was a it was like a barbecue pit that this company had in its front lawn, and he was looking at how to build it. So he was there just checking it out, and he didn't see me. His kids saw me, and they're like, "Mommy, Daddy, look, it's a bum." And I'm like, "No, no, not a bum. I'm just here looking for work." And I'm 20-year-old guy, you know, in the reserves, trying to get into the military, trying to become a pro fighter, and now I'm in the oil field looking just to get by. And this dude started asking me questions, you know, and I'd been on the oil field once before, so I said I had a little bit of experience. Told him I was in the reserves waiting to join the regular army. Told him what I'd done, how I went out west and tried to get on a boat. And anyways, this amazing guy decided that he'd hire me right there. He hired me for a company called JL Fluids, where I worked for probably 4 months. He put me up in his house. He took me in, fed me, and it's a complete stranger. Complete stranger. Took me in, fed me, gave me a job. Ken Retzler. Haven't talked to him. Haven't talked to him in almost 30 years. And yeah, 4 months later, the call kind of finally came through, and my application to the regular army had been accepted. And yeah, spent the next 20 years of my life as a soldier in the Canadian Armed Forces. So, anyways, I just want to kind of share that story. If anybody knows Ken, tell him to give me a call. It'd be great to get in touch with that guy. He, you know, probably saved me. Probably saved me. Anyways, it's the generosity of strangers. It's a great thing. Just reminisced a little bit when my boy was talking about hitchhiking. Have a great day, everybody. May 29th. Turn and burn.